Number 10. Will Smith and Margot Robbie. In 2013, Star magazine published a bombshell allegation that Will Smith was caught cheating with his co-star Margot Robbie when they worked together on the movie Focus. The report actually claimed that in photo booth pictures that they found and published on their cover, Will appeared to be shirtless and Margot lifted up her own shirt to reveal her lingerie. The magazine also claimed that after they pulled the curtain back to take the pictures, they were getting very touchy-feely with each other in the dark. The scandal was massive at the time because Will is married to Jada Pinkett Smith, and back then they had yet to admit to having an open relationship. But the rumors soon died down as E! News revealed that the pictures were commissioned by a production and that the entire cast and crew saw them being taken. It also came out that Will and Margot are absolutely just friends and there was nothing else going on between them. Even Margot was quick to deny everything on Twitter. Quote, "There's absolutely no truth to the ridiculous rumor. It's disappointing that goofing around on set could be taken so out of context." Well, people do tend to jump to conclusions. Number 9. Dominic West and Lily James. The actors were at the height of scandal when they were photographed getting cozy in Rome, all while filming their new series A Pursuit of Love in 2020. The pictures show the stars kissing, sitting at a cafe, standing on the Spanish steps, and riding tandem on a scooter looking very much to be on a date. Although Lily was single at the time, Dominic has been married to Catherine Fitzgerald for 10 years, and they have 4 children together. A source told The Sun that when Catherine saw the pictures, she was devastated and tried to get a hold of her husband, but he wasn't answering his phone. She was reportedly shocked by the whole thing because she didn't realize anything was going on. But only a few days later, there was a photo taken out the front of the couple's home with a note saying, "Our marriage is strong and we're very much still together. Thank you." Since the incident, James has kept quiet and cancelled various interviews to promote her latest film Rebecca, which is probably a good decision considering the fact that both parties have not yet publicly talked about their affair since it occurred. Number 8. Chad Michael Murray and Paris Hilton. In 2003, Chad Michael Murray and Sophia Bush fell in love while filming the TV series One Tree Hill. 2 years later, they were married. However, they separated just 5 months later when rumors swirled that Chad had cheated on his wife with Paris Hilton, his co-star on the film House of Wax. During the time he and Paris both worked on the horror film together, they reportedly had an affair, according to Backstreet Boy Nick Carter, who was dating Paris at the time. But after separating, Chad and Sophia still had to keep working together for another 3 years on One Tree Hill. If that's not awkward, I don't know what is. It wasn't until 2011 that the actor decided to rethink the way in which he was living his whole life. Quote, "When you're young and you're thrown into something that I was definitely not ready for, I'm human and I screw up." But his ex-wife definitely took the whole affair much harder, and it's clear that his actions really affected her in the long term. In 2017, she wrote in Cosmopolitan that the scandal was a massive event in her life and the trauma of it was amplified by how public it became. She has also said that she feels the marriage was a joke and it did nothing but reduce her to a Hollywood statistic. Ouch.
And at number 7, Jussie Smollett. In 2019, Jussie Smollett claimed that he had been attacked on the streets of Chicago by white Trump supporters, who told him, quote, "This is mega country," put a noose around his neck, and poured a chemical substance on him. Social media was set on fire after the attack and pitted Democrats and Republicans against each other even more than they had been before, especially since the president at the time, Donald Trump, was deemed responsible for the incident. However, months later, it was reported that the entire thing was a lie, and he was never actually attacked like he claimed. Jussie was arrested and later charged by the Chicago Police Department for giving them false information. Jussie was then indicted on 16 felony charges, and in 2020 he was indicted on 6 more charges. He has been found guilty on all the charges, although he still claims he is not lying.
Number 6. Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. The actress and writer Carrie Fisher was never one to hold back when she had something to say, and in 2016 she shared a fascinating piece of history in her own memoir called The Princess Diarist. According to Carrie, she had a brief but very intense affair with her Star Wars co-star Harrison Ford while they were filming the movie in 1976. But what's really quite troubling is that People magazine reported that she was just 19 years old when the 3-month affair took place, while Harrison was 36 years old and married to his wife of 15 years, Mary Marquardt. To make matters worse, the couple also shared 2 kids together. In terms of sneaking around, Carrie actually said, quote, "It was Han and Leia during the week and Carrie and Harrison during the weekend." She also explained to The Guardian that the affair between them had eventually come down to unreciprocated love. She said that she'll always feel something for him. The Star Wars actress was so young at the time that they got together, and although she must have known it was wrong, it's hard to say that the blame rests completely on her. What's even sadder is that after Carrie died in 2016, Harrison never fully confessed to the affair, probably more out of shame for cheating on his wife.
At number 5, Ray Lewis. Though this scandal didn't happen during the big game, it did unfold the day after the Super Bowl, and it was very big news. After the 2000 Super Bowl, former Baltimore Ravens linebacker Ray Lewis landed himself into a huge scandal when he and his entourage got into a huge fight in Atlanta that resulted in 2 people losing their lives in a brutal stabbing. The NFL player and his companions were later indicted on multiple violent crime charges. However, the privilege that comes with having fame came through to save Ray Lewis from having to serve time. He was given a deal to have his charges dismissed in exchange for testimony against his friends Reginald Oakley and Joseph Sweeting, both of whom were later acquitted. Luckily for Ray, this scandal didn't totally ruin his career, as following the incident he was able to go on to win 2 Super Bowl titles and continue into having a career with ESPN.
Number 4, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. Although it's been over for decades, Nicole Kidman's marriage to Tom Cruise is still one of Hollywood's most talked about relationships. Cruise met Nicole Kidman on the set of the movie Days of Thunder, and the pair were instantly smitten with one another, and they soon started engaging in a torrid love affair. But at the time of meeting, you guessed it, the Top Gun actor was still married to Mimi Rogers, whom he wed in 1987. As it became clear that the affair was more than just a simple fling, Tom divorced his first wife in February of 1990, and less than 1 year later, he exchanged vows with Nicole in December of 1990. They even adopted 2 children, Isabella Jane and Connor Anthony, and eventually went on to make 2 more movies together as a couple. But as we all know, their marriage was far from perfect, and they ended up splitting a decade later in 2001. Looking back on the divorce, Nicole said, quote, "It took me a very long time to heal. It was a shock to my system. We were in a bubble, just the 2 of us. We became very dependent on one another."
And at number 3, Martha Stewart. The queen of homemaking, Martha Stewart, shocked the world when she was sent to jail for insider trading. In 2002, it was announced that she was being investigated for selling off thousands of shares of a company called Clone Systems, because she learned the stock was going to be dropping drastically and didn't want to lose money in the market. She served 5 months in prison for her crime, but shockingly, her time in the slammer did not affect her career very much. Right after she got out, she was back to work, and now it's safe to say her reputation is completely healed following this incident.
Number 2, Morena Baccarin and Ben McKenzie. The Homeland actress furiously denied rumors that she had been cheating on her husband at the time, Austin Chick. But when she got pregnant by her Gotham co-star Ben McKenzie, there was very little she could do to cover it up. And just like that, the cheating rumors were confirmed. Although the actress tried to shut down the allegations, according to a TMZ report, the divorce papers filed in 2015 by Austin show that he claimed that he was still sharing a bed with Morena when she conceived Mackenzie's baby. She did get a happy ending though, and eventually gave birth to Mackenzie's daughter Frances in March of 2016, just 2 weeks before her divorce from Austin was finalized, and went on to marry Mackenzie in June the following year. But did she at least feel a little bad for sleeping with her co-star while she was married? Well, not really. In fact, she told People magazine that working with him on Gotham was wonderful. Quote, "Ben's the sweetest. It's very nice to work with your significant other, especially when you're pregnant, because you know you'll get some extra TLC and get taken care of." I mean, yeah, I guess that sounds nice if you can ignore the question of how they met. Number 1, John Malkovich and Michelle Pfeiffer. The legendary actor John Malkovich caused intense scandal both on and off the screen when it came to filming 1998's Dangerous Liaisons with his co-star Michelle Pfeiffer. At the time, the actor had been married to actress Glenn Headley for 6 years, but that completely fell apart in the midst of his affair with Michelle. Interestingly enough, even the film's director, Stephen Frears, said, quote, "Dangerous Liaisons is about betrayal and lies and relationships unraveling. It was one of those times where reality and art intersect. It was overwhelming to John. Even for a man who delights in bad behavior, that was a difficult time." Not to mention the fact that John's older brother, Danny, told Entertainment Weekly in 1993 that when the actor came home with Michelle, that was the happiest that he had ever seen him. But even though John and his ex-wife got divorced in 1988, the affair didn't last long either, and they reportedly broke up not long after. But apparently Malkovich took the breakup very hard and reportedly cried for a whole year. The two of them must have really had something special because he told The Guardian in 2008, quote, "It's hard to believe Michelle Pfeiffer ever said hello to me. I mean, if you can forget about the fact that he cheated on his wife, it's still romantic the way he talks about Michelle."
At number 10, Janet Jackson. The Super Bowl halftime show is one of the biggest televised events of each year in North America. Millions upon millions of people tune in annually to watch the year's biggest and probably most expensive performance. So for the people putting on the show, there is a lot on the line and the stakes are quite high for whoever is on stage that year. Normally these performances go pretty well, but there are always memes of the off moments, like Left Shark for example. But during the 2004 Super Bowl halftime show, viewers watched a serious wardrobe malfunction happen that was life-changing and career-altering to say the least, and it was more serious than just a meme. Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake were performing together on stage that night when a move went wrong and Janet's breast ended up getting exposed. Following the televised incident that the media dubbed Nipplegate, the FCC sued CBS for the live mishap in a $550,000 lawsuit inciting indecent exposure for their cause. Janet Jackson was also put through the ringer for her whole part in the scandal. Even though none of it was really her fault, it was just an accident that obviously wasn't meant to happen. It was then discovered that the whole incident happened because the two performers had added a costume reveal into their performance at the last minute, and though it was rehearsed, the stunt failed at the last minute, resulting in Janet's exposure. As a result of the backlash Janet started receiving, she was uninvited to the Grammy Awards that year, and her songs were blacklisted from the radio. Even the next few albums she released following the incident were met with a lot of negativity because of this scandal. It was all just an accident that caused a huge scandal and ended in someone getting cancelled and facing so much hate for no reason. At number 9, Prince. Just a few years after the infamous Nipplegate scandal, the Super Bowl had yet another halftime show controversy when Prince performed. In 2007, he stepped out of the box with his halftime show performance, and though the performance itself was nominated for 2 Emmy Awards, still faced controversy. During the performance, the silhouette of the singer was projected onto a huge flowing cloth that obscured the singer's view. It looked pretty artsy, but soon people came to take offense to what was cast in the shadow that was being created. The scandal erupted when a quote, "perceived phallus" was cast in the shadow where Prince's body met his guitar. This ended up causing some uproar amongst viewers, and as a result, the network broadcasting the Super Bowl, CBS, got a lot of complaints from those who tuned in to watch the performance. Before we carry on talking about some of the biggest Super Bowl scandals, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Tim Tebow. One of the biggest parts of the Super Bowl broadcast each year are the ads that run during the show. Advertisers spend millions of dollars to have their ads shown each year, and sometimes these ads can cause quite a lot of controversy. One of the more famous Super Bowl ad scandals comes from the pro-life Tim Tebow ad from the 2010 Super Bowl. The Celebrate Family, Celebrate Life ad starring Tim Tebow and his mother caused quite a lot of uproar as various groups ended up protesting against the so-called advocacy ad. The ad, which was created by a conservative group called Focus on the Family, cost the group's donors $3 million to run during the big game. People thought that an ad of this nature was inappropriate to run during an event like this because it was such a controversial issue. The entire 30-second ad was devoted to Tim Tebow's mom gushing about her miracle baby, and people thought that if there was a political message behind the ad, it was extremely obscured. The whole ordeal was pretty bizarre and very divisive as well, though Tim Tebow did defend the ad, saying that he knew some people wouldn't agree with the ad, but he still went along with it anyway.
Number 7, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Jen and Brad got married in 2000 in a lavish Malibu wedding, and things were perfect for the Hollywood it couple until they suddenly announced their divorce in 2005. What happened exactly? Well, long story short is, Brad met Angelina for the first time on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and the rest is history. Apparently the movie was filled with so much romantic tension, it was impossible for the two stars not to fall for each other. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is probably the sexiest spy movie to ever exist, so it's easy to see how everything went down. But the problem was that Brad was still married to Jen. But he didn't let that stop him, and they allegedly still got together despite his marriage. To add insult to injury, he said about his marriage to Jen, quote, "I was trying to pretend the marriage was something that it wasn't. I'm satisfied with making true choices and finding the woman I love, Angie, and building a family that I love so much." That sounds pretty harsh, but it turned out that Brad and Angelina's relationship wasn't just a fling, and they actually went on to date for many years and had a large family before finally getting married in 2014. The love triangle was one of the biggest celebrity scandals of the early 2000s, and it still dominates the tabloids to this day.
At number 6, Barrett Robbins. Imagine missing the biggest moment of your life or career, the event that would change your life forever. Well, for former Oakland Raiders center Barrett Robbins, that's exactly what happened, as he went missing just before his team was set to play in the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 2003. Robbins ended up being a no-show for the biggest game of his life, leaving his coaches and teammates high and dry leading up to the big game. Barrett was also known to have struggled with his mental health, and it seems as though this was part of the reason why he failed to show up to the Super Bowl match. The football player missed the game after leaving his hotel in San Diego without his wallet and cell phone in order to party in Tijuana, Mexico. After that, he was hospitalized and diagnosed with bipolar disorder. After this incident, things didn't get much better for Barrett, as he started using substances to cope with his mental health. He was kicked off the Raiders due to steroid use, and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison for an involvement in a shooting incident in 2005. He certainly had a serious fall from grace after his Super Bowl no-show.
Halfway number 5, Monica Lewinsky. The scandal involving Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky is one of the most shocking of all time, and it's still so interesting to the public that the scandal was outlined in the latest season of American Crime Story titled Impeachment. In 1998, it was exposed that the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, engaged in sexual relations with a White House intern. At the time, multiple other women also came forward to expose his predatory behavior was a pattern. At first, he strongly denied it, but then a woman named Linda Tripp exposed that it was a lie because she had taped Lewinsky talking about her affair with Clinton. After it was exposed that he was a liar and cheater, he was impeached for lying under oath. He was impeached by the House of Representatives but acquitted by the Senate, so he remained in office until his term ended.
At number 4, Beyonce. Celebrities care a lot about their image. We know this already. They care about looking their best no matter what, but with the efforts to keep their image looking perfect in the eyes of their fans as well as the media, this has been known to cause scandals. We've seen this a lot with celebrities like the Kardashians, who cause minor controversies when their photos are either heavily edited or not edited at all, but another celebrity who's faced a scandal for something similar is Beyonce, and her scandal happened after her Super Bowl halftime show performance in 2013. Though the performance itself went off without a hitch, making headlines for her theatrics and also the long-awaited reunion of Destiny's Child, the aftermath was a little dramatic. People had been uploading photos of the performance online, but some of the images included some unflattering shots of the singer. Because of this, Beyonce's people tried to get those unflattering images removed from digital archives. Some media outlets were understanding and took the images down, but others did not, and as a result, instead of removing the images, publications like BuzzFeed instead publicized the email that was sent out by Beyonce's team, showing the world how ridiculous this whole situation was.
Number 3, Billy Crudup and Claire Danes. The massive scandal started in late 2003. Billy and his girlfriend of 8 years, Mary Louise Parker, who at the time was about 7 months pregnant with his son, broke up. The New York Post reported that the actor had moved on with his stage beauty co-star Claire Danes, who was only 24 at the time. In the summer of that year, the former co-stars had been spotted getting cozy all over New York City, and even had a very cute looking courtside date filled with PDA. But Billy wasn't the only cheater in that situation, as Claire also ended up breaking the heart of her longtime boyfriend Ben Lee to be with the actor. Their love affair didn't last long, however, and it's clear that all the heartbreak wasn't even worth it, because they ended up splitting up just 3 years later. Naturally, the ultra-private couple didn't discuss the reason behind their breakup, but the tabloids were happy to do so for them. Several magazines even claimed that Danes had left Billy for Hugh Dancy, but we'll never really know what happened. Years later, Claire said, quote, "I was just in love with him and needed to explore that. I was 24, I didn't quite know what those consequences would be."
At number 2, Christina Aguilera. If you're one of the lucky celebrities who gets to perform at the Super Bowl, all eyes are on you. The Super Bowl is one of the most watched television events of every year, so there's a lot riding on each performance. So imagine with all of that viewership, how embarrassing a mess up would be. Well, this is something that unfortunately Christina Aguilera experienced when she was asked to sing the national anthem at the 2011 Super Bowl. You would think that because she's American, then she wouldn't have a hard time singing the national anthem without any issues, but But you would be wrong, because as she was performing, she messed up the lyrics and sang "What So Proudly We Watched" instead of "Or the Ramparts We Watched." In retrospect, it's really not that big of a deal, but when you have millions of eyes on you, that pressure can sometimes get to be a little too much to handle and can cause mistakes to happen. It's not the biggest scandal ever, but lots of people were talking about it and shaming the singer for that simple mistake. And finally, at number 1, Spygate. Now, this scandal was probably one of the biggest Super Bowl scandals ever because it was messy and very dishonest. This scandal from 2007, which was dubbed Spygate, was sparked by allegations that the New York Patriots had illegally videotaped the New York Giants defensive coach's hand signals. The Patriots head coach Bill Belichick was ordered to pay a $500,000 fine as a result. But that's not where it ended. The scandal came back again just 2 days before the Patriots and Giants were set to face off in the Super Bowl that year. A U.S. senator demanded a meeting with the NFL commissioner to discuss what had happened with the two teams. 6 months later, it was revealed that this spying had happened before in 2002 when the Pats had recorded the St. Louis Rams practice playthrough. Now, I can't say that I understand football or football culture, but even I know that's messed up.
And at number 10, the college admissions scandal. In 2019, the world was shocked to learn that the government had spent years investigating university bribes. The investigation, called Operation Varsity Blues, uncovered that hundreds of parents had paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to ensure their child got into the best schools in America. Even more shocking, some of the parents involved were wealthy celebrities like Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin. Huffman admitted to paying $15,000 to up her daughter's SAT scores, issued a public apology, pled guilty, then served 11 days of a 2-week sentence. Lori was accused of paying $500,000 to get her daughters into USC, maintained her innocence, and in 2020 was sentenced to 2 months in prison, while her husband Massimo was sentenced to 5 months. And at number 9, Tristan Thompson cheats on Khloe Kardashian. Usually someone cheating wouldn't be a big enough deal to completely overload social media, but in the case of Tristan and Khloe, the cheating was so outrageous that people could not believe it was really happening. The first time Tristan was exposed for cheating, Khloe was 8 months pregnant with their child, and videos and photos showed him out clubbing with women, and even taking one back to his hotel room. But that was not all. The internet broke once again when it was reported that Tristan cheated on Khloe again, this time with her younger sister Kylie's best friend, Jordyn Woods, who was basically a part of the family at that point. Sources said that the NBA star was seen cozying up to Jordyn at a party where they made out and were all over each other. After that shocking and embarrassing scandal, Khloe not only dumped Tristan, but Kylie was forced to cut ties with her BFF. And at number 8, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, people have speculated that rich celebrities have private islands where they participate in things that normal people could not even think of. And in 2019, it was exposed that those theories were true, and a good portion of the world's elites had participated in disgusting and illegal conduct while on Jeffrey Epstein's island. During that investigation, we learned that Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, and Bill Gates had connections to this island and were documented as friends of Epstein's. The ties to the royal family were the most shocking, and the public was horrified to learn that Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, were so close to the royals, they actually vacationed at one of the Queen's private residences. As of now, Prince Andrew is being investigated in connection with Epstein, and he's been stripped from the royal family.
At number 7, Tom Brady. Now, I can't say that I'm the biggest football fan ever because I barely understand the game. I root for the Miami Dolphins because my uncle told me to, and that's about it. I watch the Super Bowl for the commercials and the halftime show and go on my merry way because that's about the extent of my football attention span. But in 2015, going on your merry way was a little harder to do as the AFC Championship game was also shrouded in scandal that year and all eyes were on Tom Brady. The Deflategate scandal, as it was dubbed by news sources, saw Tom Brady caught in the middle of a huge sporting controversy after it was discovered that the balls that were used for the championship were deflated and that he allegedly knew about this. It was theorized that the balls could have been deflated to help Brady's grip and to make it easier for other players to catch and hold onto the balls. As a result of the scandal, Tom Brady was due to miss the first 4 games of the season, the Patriots were fined $1 million, and the team lost 2 draft picks as well. It was bad press for Brady and one of his worst moments.
And at number 6, Kylie Jenner's pregnancy. Nothing broke the internet quite like when Kylie Jenner posted a video to YouTube sharing that she had been pregnant for the last 9 months and kept it entirely secret. Not only was she pregnant, but her daughter Stormi was born before the release of the video. Rumors had been swirling that she was pregnant, and it seemed likely because Kylie stayed at home way more than usual during this time, clearly hiding something from the world. In an Instagram post, Kylie apologized for keeping everyone in the dark, but said that she wanted to keep her pregnancy to herself in order to truly enjoy that time. For her second pregnancy, Kylie did not keep it hidden and shared tons of photos and videos with fans. Some fans were even convinced that she had already given birth to her second child and was keeping it hidden because of the Astroworld tragedy. But after the recent birthday party of Stormi, where Kylie was seen incredibly pregnant, it's clear that she is still waiting to give birth, but it looks like it could be any day now.
Number 5. Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. The co-stars brought their on-screen romance into the real world after working together on the FX series Fargo. The pair appeared on season 3 of the anthology crime drama, which debuted in April of 2017. Only a month later, the actress announced on social media that she had split from her husband of 7 years, Riley Stearns. Following her separation, Winstead was spotted on a date, hooking up with McGregor in London, and cheating rumors were flying because although she was single, he was very much not. The train-spotting actor was still married to Eve Mavrakis at the time, with whom he shares 4 children. After the Emmy winner was spotted getting cozy with Winstead, fans began to wonder about the status of his marriage, but it wasn't until January of 2018 that his now ex-wife filed for divorce. But while the two managed to keep their romance relatively private, their relationship raised eyebrows even among their family members. In fact, in August of 2018, McGregor's daughter Clara had some strong feelings on the new relationship at the time. She took to Instagram to comment on a Mary Elizabeth Winstead fan page, quote, "Most beautiful and talented woman on earth? Oh man, y'all are delusional. This girl is a piece of trash." Wow.
In at number 4, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson officially lost it in the eyes of the world in 2002 when he dangled his son over a balcony in Berlin, Germany. People were waiting below and were horrified, thinking that Jackson could drop him. Michael later admitted it was a mistake in doing so, saying he was simply excited. He said in a statement after the incident, quote, "I got caught up in the excitement of the moment. I would never intentionally endanger the lives of my children." However, many did not accept this statement. Michael's close friend at the time, Uri Geller, condemned his actions, saying, quote, "I just would not put any child over a railing at such a height. I think it was a silly thing to do. He probably did it because he was overwhelmed emotionally by the fans."
At number 3, MIA. Now let's move on to another Super Bowl halftime show scandal. The 2012 Super Bowl halftime show had a lot of big names performing. Artists like Madonna, LMFAO, Nicki Minaj, CeeLo Green, and MIA were performing, and looking back on it now, some people say that this lineup was already a recipe for disaster. People thought that if anything were to go wrong, it would have been Madonna who caused something because of her history causing controversy on stage, like that famous onstage kiss with Britney Spears, but in this case, the scandal fell on singer MIA, who ended up flipping the bird on live TV. This all became a bigger scandal than it needed to be because Madonna spoke out against the singer's actions, blowing things out of proportion, saying that she was appalled by the singer's actions and her disregard for those watching. This scandal died down relatively quickly, but later resurfaced in 2014 when the NFL sued the singer for over $16 million in restitution for her onstage antics. This was a big deal because at first, the NFL was only suing for $1.5 million. The two parties ended up settling out of court, but the details of the settlement are unreleased.
And at number 2, Tiger Woods. Golf is generally a game that's pretty boring in terms of scandals. The League of Golf is generally very professional with little to report about other than the results of tournaments. But that all changed when the king of golf, Tiger Woods' private relationship was put on display, and we were all shocked about who he really was behind closed doors. In November of 2009, the National Enquirer exposed that he'd been cheating on his wife with a nightclub hostess. Days later, many other women came forward, and it was reported that he slept with hundreds of women while married. After many years of being blacklisted from golf, Tiger was able to come out on top once again and won the Masters in 2019, although his reputation has been tainted once again after reports surfaced that he got in a terrifying car crash. His car went off the road and fell off a cliff, leaving his car flipped. And finally, at number 1, Kanye West interrupted Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift's acceptance speech at the 2009 VMAs is easily one of the most memorable of all time. Kanye West's interruption happened moments after Taylor accepted her award and became the start of a long-running feud that has pitted Taylor and Kanye fans against each other ever since. Kanye felt that Beyonce deserved the award more than Taylor and grabbed the mic from her, saying, quote, "Taylor, I'm really happy for you, I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time. One of the best videos of all time," before being booed off the stage. Taylor was later left back on stage to re-say her speech, but the damage was already done. Tons of celebrities came out on social media to defend Taylor against Kanye's actions.